So, you have a new series for me?
Yes, sir, I do. It's based off a Japanese manga called Jojo's Bizarre Adventure.
Japanese, huh? I hear they make some very weird stories. Is that true in this case?
Of course not.
Oh, thank goodness. How does it start?
Well, it takes place in England in the year 1880, where a very nice man named George Joestar adopts a poor child from an abusive home life into his rich family with his son Jonathan Joestar.
Oh, that does sound very normal.
And almost immediately, the child assaults Jonathan's dog and throws it into an incinerator.
Okay, what the
Yup.
That kid is messed up. What's his name?
Oh, his name is Dio.
Dio, huh? That sounds foreign. Let me just look that up and translate it. Oh, it's God in Italian. Does that have any significance on the story?
Of course not.
Okay then. So what happens next?
Well, Dio grows up to be an absolutely horrible human being.
That makes sense.
And Jonathan grows up to be the nicest and most respectful human being.
That also makes complete sense.
So, because Dio is so evil, he decides that he wants to steal the family fortune. And to do that, he tries to poison George. But Jonathan puts a stop to that. So Dio then tries to kill Jonathan, but is intervened by Jonathan's new friend, Robert E.O. Speedwagon, who then alerts George about the local police about what is going on.
You know, this actually does sound like a nice, family-based, down-to-earth story.
And then Dio wipes some blood on an ancient stone mask that turns him into a vampire. Now that Dio has uncovered his new powers, he kills his father and some police officers while fighting Jonathan that results in the Joestar mansion going up in flames.
Oh no! Well, if Dio was able to do all that just after discovering his new vampiric abilities, then how is Jonathan ever going to stand a chance against him?
Actually, it'll be super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so Jonathan meets an Italian man named Will Zeppeli, who teaches him Ripple, which is a special breathing technique to harness the power of the sun, which happens to kill vampires.
This hormone power sounds pretty useful. Does he teach it to Speedwagon?
No.
Okay.
So then they all head off to go fight Dio in his huge new castle.
Hey, now that you mention it, does becoming an all-powerful vampire give Dio a god complex or something, therefore making his name relevant to the story?
Nope.
Okay then.
Anyways, they first have to fight some of Dio's minions before they get to Dio. In the process, Jonathan gets a cool sword and Zeppeli dies.
Bye-bye, Zeppeli.
Then it comes down to the final showdown between Jonathan and Dio. Jonathan is able to cut Dio's head off with the cool sword he got and saves the day. Then Jonathan gets married and lives happily ever after.
Man, that was a really satisfying end to the story. I'm glad everything got resolved and Jonathan is happy and everything.
And then Dio's severed head interrupts Jonathan in his honeymoon, uses his laser eyes to cut Jonathan's head off, and attaches it to Jonathan's body and gets into a coffin before falling to the bottom of the ocean.
Why do you do this?
And that's the end of the season.
Oh, okay then. A new season.
So this one takes place just before the start of World War II, and Speedwagon is a rich oil tycoon scouring the world for other stone masks to prevent any more vampires from arising.
That's actually a pretty smart idea.
Yeah, but it completely backfires on him when he gets captured by Nazis.
Oh no, how's Speedwagon gonna stop them?
He's not, because he's not the protagonist of the season. The protagonist is Jonathan's grandson, Joseph, who is a hot-headed, foul-minded Ripple user with no real training.
That's a huge missed opportunity.
Oh well, anyways, he has to go to Mexico to save Speedwagon, so he dresses up as a woman with tequila to fool the Nazis into letting him in.
Ooh, dressing up as a woman with tequila to fool some Nazis is tight.
Once he gets inside, he finds out that the Nazis found an ancient sleeping vampire, and when it wakes up, it kills a bunch of them before Joseph is able to kill it and save Speedwagon.
Well, that's good.
But he also finds out there are 3 even more powerful vampires found in Italy, so he has to go find them and kill them too.
Oh no.
Yeah, so these powerful vampires are looking for a red stone called the Red Stone of Asia.
You mean the Red Stone of Asia?
Sure, so they need this stone so that the head of Honcho, Cars, can become the ultimate life form.
That sounds fun, but what is the ultimate life form?
Basically, if a vampire becomes the ultimate life form, it gains the power to regenerate himself at an incredibly fast speed, not die from sunlight or the Ripple, and it can transform any part of his body into any part of an organism.
Oh, that sounds like something they should try and stop at all costs.
They do stop him, but eventually Cars does become the ultimate life form.
Well, it sounds impossible to beat him now.
Oh no, it'll be quite easy, barely an inconvenience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so Joseph will take cars to a volcano and will use the redstone of Asia to blow up the volcano and send cars to space where he will float away forever.
What happens to Joseph?
His family thinks he is dead and then appears at his own funeral with his new wife.
Ooh, showing up to your own funeral is tight.
Yes, it is, and that will bring us to the next season.
Whoa, another season.
Yeah, so you remember Dio stuck in a coffin at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean?
I do.
Yeah, he's back.
How?
He got fished out of the ocean by some fishers and is now roaming around Cairo, Egypt in 1989.
Oh no.
And now he has most of the other characters in this new part have the power of stands.
Cool. What are stands?
They're spirits that certain people can summon that sometimes have cool powers.
Oh, are there any special rules that these stands have to abide by?
Yes, but a very specific question for you to ask. Stands can only be seen by other stand users, except when I don't want that to happen. Only stands can damage other stands, except when I don't want that to be the case. And any damage a stand receives also gets put onto the user, except when I don't want it to.
Those sound like some very objective rules.
They are.
Okay.
So basically, Joseph learned about the return of Dio by using his stand, which can use objects around him to divine information. So he needs to travel the world with a team of stand users, defeating all of Dio's minions while traveling to Egypt to fight Dio himself to avenge his grandfather, Jonathan.
Oh man, it sounds like Joseph is going to be a super cool protagonist this time around.
Oh no, he's not the protagonist.
Then who is?
Joseph's grandson, Jotaro, who's Japanese and just learned he has a stand.
What does his stand do?
It mostly punches things, but sometimes it can gain just about whatever power will save him in the moment, like the ability to extend his fingers really far.
It seems like a mistake not having Joseph as a protagonist.
Oops.
Oopsies. So who's going to be on the team fighting Dio?
Well, there's Joseph's friend Abdul, whose stand has the fire powers. There's Jotaro's classmate Kakuin, whose stand can possess people and shoot emeralds that no one can deflect. A French guy named Polnareff trying to avenge his sister with a stand that is super fast and a knight in shining armor. And a dog named Iggy, who can control sand and shape it into a big monster.
Wow, these sound like some really powerful stand users. They should have no problem beating Dio.
Before they do that, they have to get to Cairo, and Dio has sent some of his minions to stop them from getting to him one at a time.
And I'm sure that Dio sends some of the most powerful stand users of all time at his disposal at them, right?
Oh yes, there's just a guy who can make his face look like other people's faces, a guy who stands just a gun, and a woman who can give you a sentient wart.
Why do those powers exist, and why would Dio ever send them to kill somebody?
Sir, I'm going to need to get way off my back on this one.
Okay, let me get off of that thing.
So as you can imagine, they're able to get to Cairo very easily. But it does take a while because they keep losing whatever method of travel they decided to take over and over again.
That sucks. Oh well.
So finally they make it to Cairo, and they're all going to invade Dio's mansion and meet him once and for all.
Ooh, this is exciting.
But as soon as they get inside, they get split up by the enemy.
Oh no.
So Jotaro, Joseph, and Kakuin get sent to a weird basement area where they need to beat one of Dio's minions at a video game in order to escape, while the other group fights an invisible vampiric sphere that disintegrates anything it touches, and it kills Abdul and Iggy.
Well, it sounds like one group is having a much better time than the other.
Indeed. So Polnareff makes it to Dio, who is on the second floor of the mansion, before the others, and Dio's going to screw with Polnareff by putting him at the bottom of the staircase after Polnareff takes a couple of steps.
Why would he do that?
So that way it gives Jotaro, Joseph, and Kakuin time to get to Polnareff as Dio disappears.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they go upstairs and they go into Dio's bedroom and find a bunch of dead naked women on the ground.
Why are they dead naked?
Because there are So they eventually find Dio and draw him onto the streets of Cairo at night to fight him
Oh, and how did they do that?
by splitting up into two different groups.
Okay, it seems like splitting up is a common theme in this show.
It is. So Dio follows Kakuin and Joseph, and Kakuin traps Dio and uses a special ability called 20-meter Emerald Splash.
So Dio finally dies?
No.
How?
Dio appears to be the only person that can deflect the Emerald Splash and can also stop time.
Wow, it seems like it'll be impossible to defeat him.
No, no, no.
How so?
Jotaro finds out his stand is basically the same as Dio's stand, so Jotaro effectively uses his time stops to kill Dio.
Well, that's good.
And indeed, sir, now on to a new season.
Oh, a new season already?
Yes, sir, it is. Would you like me to give you a of it?
Sure, but why did you say it like that?
No reason. Anyways, this season will take place 10 years after Dio is defeated in a Japanese town called Morio.
Oh, you mean Dwayne?
Sure, and Jojo is back again.
Why?
To find his uncle, who is a stand user whose stand can punch things and fix things, except for himself and dead people. Also, his uncle is 16.
Why is he that young?
Joseph had an affair while in Japan, and that affair led to Josuke.
Okay, but wouldn't he have to be 62 at the time he conceived Josuke?
Yes.
Oh, that's very odd.
Anyways, eventually Josuke gets attacked by a guy who has an ancient artifact that is the origin of stands. A bow and arrow that gives you and your descendants a stand if you're shot by it.
Wow, that sounds like some really interesting world building that should have been done last season.
Josuke eventually beats the villain, who is then killed by another villain who also steals the arrow.
Oh no.
And after a while, the group eventually defeats this villain and gets the stand arrow back.
Wow, that was fast. Does anything else happen this season?
Oh, we're just getting started. After all that happens, some of Josuke's friends find out about a haunted alleyway that sucks you to hell if you look backwards. And they learn about a murderer who's secretly living in Morio.
Ooh, cool. Who is this murderer?
His name is Yoshikage Kira. He's 33 years old. His house is on the northeast section of Morio, where all the villas are. He is not married. And he knows that is what brings him happiness. Although if he were to get into a fight, he wouldn't lose to anyone.
Cool. Is there anything else important about him?
Well, he just wants to live a quiet life. But a quiet life for him is killing women and cutting off their hands and keeping them as a fetish.
Ooh, killing women, cutting off their hands, and keeping them as a fetish is tight.
Please never say that again.
Will do.
Anyways, one day the fetish guy is about to be caught by Josuke and the gang, but before he does, he forces somebody who he met earlier in the season to use their stand to completely change his appearance so he can steal their identity and get away.
Then what?
Well, he stays under the radar, which makes his nails grow uncontrollably, and eventually ends up killing the son of a father he changed his identity to.
Does he get caught?
Nope.
Alrighty then.
So after he kills his son, Yoshikage's father appears from a photograph, and it turns out his ghost dad has that mysterious arrow. The arrow attacks the killer and gives him a new stand, which has the power to loop time.
That seems like it'll be impossible to beat.
Actually, it'll be super easy, barely an inconvenience.
How so?
Well, after several time loops, his son tells Josuke about where to meet the killer, and they fight to the death.
Sounds fun.
Indeed it is. And then the killer eventually kills Josuke's best friend, and Josuke brings him back from the dead.
That's not supposed to happen.
So I'm going to need to get all the way off my back about reviving the dead.
Okay, let me get off of that thing.
So Josuke, who is severely injured, pins down the murderer with the whole gang, and the murderer gets killed by getting his head ran over by an ambulance.
That's a pretty anticlimactic way to die.
It sure is. So on to the next season.
Ooh, a new season.
Yeah, so the new season will take place 2 years later in Italy, and it will be about a 15-year-old boy named Giorno, who is Jojo's great-grandfather, son of Dio and Jonathan, and he acquires power to put someone into an infinite death loop.
What the
And then Dio's severed head interrupts Jonathan of his honeymoon, uses his laser eyes to cut off Jonathan's head and attach.
AJ's very mad.
I'm not gonna swear. Ah! Alright. I shit my pants again.
That's the first thing you want to be on the test recording.
Yes.